like Freddie Prinze of the JFK assassination. But I know personally that's what he was obsessed with at the time of his death. And of course, one of those movies came out a year or so after his death, Lifetime type movies, The Last Days of Freddie Prinze. And much as they did with Belushi, they stressed the drugs. This is a out of control guy, and he was bound these drugs. He was bound to die, and there was no mention of the JFK assassination, which shows how intellectually dishonest it was, because at that time, that was what he was most interested in, along with the drugs, perhaps, but. To not mention that, to me, leaves a giant hole there, and that's why I think when people talk about the last days of John Belushi, it's the same kind of thing where he was spiraling out of control, and for all I know, I just kind of guessing, but his friendship with Jim Garrison, that he had this kind of obsession with the JFK assassination too. But I think those kinds of stories are probably behind a lot of these incidents, and we just don't know them. I would have never known that about Freddie Prinze if I hadn't been there that day.
Yeah, I actually did another show with a guest who used to sell marijuana to Belushi, and his theory is that it was a setup. It was a police operation, and they were telling that woman, Kathy Evelyn Smith, to keep them there longer, because they wanted to go in and bust people.
Yeah.
And that's
she did. I mean, and it's I just think regardless, but it's always attributed to kind of this, it was a sad, and then they show clips of him, and didn't he look bad there and everything, and we saw this coming, and and that's happened so many times, and I just think that more often than another guy that I know had a connection to the JFK assassination was Sal Mineo. Right. Who was he was not only interested, he'd gone on, I think, Johnny Carson or one of the shows and called the Warren Commission report bullshit, which nobody in Hollywood was doing then, and he was set to play. Most people don't know Orson Welles had long filmed a lot of Orson Welles projects never got filmed, but he wanted to film. Orson Welles apparently knew the truth about the assassinations too, and he wanted to film something about the RFK assassination. And he wanted to have Sal Mineo was set to play Sirhan Sirhan, and Mineo was killed in one of those murders in his neighborhood, and I think he was knifed to death or something. And I think there was kind of attributed to drugs or the fact he was gay or something going on there, but no one mentioned his interest in the assassination. And I didn't even know about the fact he was going to play Sirhan Sirhan until later. I started reading up on it, so there are these connections everywhere, and they're not always to the JFK assassination, but a lot of times when there is a connection there, these things tend to happen.
Like Dorothy Kilgallen, the most.
Absolutely.
Hey, what do you make though of Mark Lane later on in life and his connection to Jim Jones and all that? What do you make of all that?
Well, people. There was a book called Illuminatus that was written back in the 70s, a trilogy, and that's where I first learned about the Illuminati, and it was a Bible for conspiracy people back then. It had a huge impact on my fiction and my novel, The Unreals. But in that, they named Mark Lane as like one of the 7 leaders of the world or something, where they had him like as the leader of discord and chaos or something. But lots of people have been suspicious about Lane because he survived Jonestown, and he ended up being, he was a lawyer for Liberty Lobby, who I now write for the American Free Press, which is the successor to the Spotlight, which is a newspaper back then. And it seemed like a curious place for Lane to go. He was a Jew, and they were accused of being anti-Semitic, but he defended them notably in several trials. So Lane had lots, and he's been accused. But I try to take people at face value, because I've heard tons of stuff about Jim Fetzer and people like that. So many people call these guys disinfo agents. They're working. Lane's obviously CIA. I've heard that a million times. And you must be too if you were. And I was a teenage volunteer for his organization, but and he was a hero of mine. I just tend to take them all at face value. And I know some of them probably are undercover agents. Some of them may well be, and he might have been. I don't know, but
you could be the most sincere guy in the world, and there can just be a couple of people inserted next to you, just whispering in your ear, just misdirecting you all over the place. It's not always black and white. You know what I mean?
Sure, of course. Yeah, you can always have people that can lead you steer you down the road, and that's been going on in hidden history. I talked about how the extremist movements on both the left and the right forever have been co-opted. I mean, people don't realize that how often the Black Panthers were infiltrated in the '60s and the Ku Klux Klan both. So that you had things like, Malcolm X's bodyguard was an undercover agent. Fred Hampton's bodyguard was an undercover agent. The guy holding Martin Luther King's head in that famous picture, iconic picture on the balcony, was an undercover agent. I mean, they were everywhere. One of the agents that the four people that killed civil rights worker Viola Luiso in the early '60s down south, was sitting in the car, was an undercover agent with the KKK people, and nobody seems to care about. To me, that bothers me because, we look at people like Timothy Leary, that was admitted himself later he was CIA. Gloria Steinem has been outed and admitted she was CIA. So, how many of these leaders are not co-opted? I don't know. I mean, that's why people, that's why you have people now. I get into discussions all the time about Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, so many people think she's false opposition, and because of her connections to CFR and all these things, the Hare Krishna and everything. I don't know. I just try to take people at face value because you can't prove that stuff conclusively, especially just from sitting in front of a computer like I do. And I just prefer to, I'm going to take this at face value. And Mark Lane on face value was a civil libertarian, which I consider myself to be one of the last of the civil libertarians. There aren't many of us left now. And so, I still admire him.
And it's not just our own government's undercover agents, to foreign governments as well. I talk about when I was a kid, the leader of the Rainbow family confessed to me he was getting money from the Soviet, from the Russian embassy, for his poetry.
Well, Gus Hall, the leader, and you only found this in the pages of the Spotlight, the guy that was the leader of the American Communist Party for decades. When the Soviet KGB files were released after the Berlin Wall came down, it was discovered that he had gotten millions of dollars from the Soviet Union over the years. So,
the New York City hippies, A.J. Weberman was the head of the Jewish Defense Organization. He had to have Mossad connections as well.
Oh, he's my friend on Facebook, boy. You figure him out. I don't know.
Well, no, I've been friends with A.J. since I was 17 years old. I've known him since I was a kid back in New York.
He is one of a kind.
Oh, we got to stay on his good side too. So it's not just our own intelligence agencies too, and then the oil industry has their own undercover operatives and stuff like that. And the banking industry, they all. It's a cesspool.
I think JFK. I teach a course in adult education from my adult education county in Oliver Stone's JFK film. Believe it or not, they pay me to do that. And but I think it's one of the greatest films ever, and I think it gets it right. It presents a really most reasonable explanation for what happened. But one of the producers of the film is a guy named Arnold. I can't remember. It's Arnold Milchan or something. But he's a big time Israeli guy who's been accused of being a Mossad operative, and he's financed other films by Oliver Stone. So yeah, it's kind of,
Oliver
it makes
Stone, too, as well. He covered up the McMartin preschool. He did that whitewash movie with James Woods. But listen, we're out of time. Donald Jeffries, we're out of time, brother. We got 1 minute. What do you want to leave us with in 1 minute exactly?
Okay, well, check out the new book coming out, Bullyocracy. Check out the books out now that's still fresh off the presses, Crimes and Cover-Ups in American Politics, 1776, 1963. And go to my blog, donaldjeffries.wordpress.com, keeping it unreal. You can get all my current rants and raves there for you.
And Truth Frequency Radio, Friday night, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And go back to the archives and look at all the previous shows we did with Donald Jeffries. Always great stuff, always great content. We spent a lot of time, 2 hours on each book, so you can really get a feel for his work. Donald Jeffries, thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
Thanks, brother. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Once again, the great Donald Jeffries. Thank you so much, Donald Jeffries. And now a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Is your credit in bad shape? Do you need a new car? Ready to buy a new house? You want to rent an apartment? Are you going to apply for a job? Any one of these activities, they're going to ask for a credit report, and they're going to check out your credit score. Let Dynamic Solutions 2 erase your negative credit remarks. They offer a life-changing, dynamic financial solution. The finest in fast, professional, affordable credit repair. They have affordable monthly prices. They accept Visa, MasterCard, PayPal options available. You go to www.dynamicsolutions2, that's the number 2.com, or call 424-888-2820. Now, if you enter promo code ED or you mention Ed Opperman, you get a 10% discount. How's that? You get a free consultation, all negative items removed, get back in positive credit position. Dynamic Solutions 2, life-changing dynamic financial solutions.
Hey you, podcast listener, this is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
Emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com. 800-572-9762.